Most merge conflicts are just people touching the same lines at the same time. The classic one is two devs refactoring the same file, and both improving the same function names, because of course, everyone thinks their cleanup is the elegant one.
Yeah. And then one person formats the file, another changes logic, and the diff becomes a crime scene.
Exactly. Renames are another big one. You move a class, someone else adds a method to the old path, and Git starts acting like it needs therapy. Also long-lived branches. If you sit on a feature branch for 2 weeks, the main branch moves on and suddenly everything conflicts.
I've seen config files do that too. Tiny change, massive pain.
Oh, absolutely. JSON and YAML are conflict magnets. One missing comma, one indentation tweak, and now the whole merge looks like a hostage note. And the worst is when people auto-generate files differently on each machine.
Or merge in dependency lock files after a huge install. That always gets ugly.
Right. Lock files, schema migrations, docs nobody thinks matter until they do. Honestly, the root cause is usually weak branch hygiene. People wait too long, avoid syncing, then act surprised when the market of code has changed. The cleanest way to resolve conflicting code changes is to stop treating the merge like a courtroom drama. Read both sides, understand the intent, then decide what the code is actually supposed to do.
So not just pick ours and move on.
If only that worked. First step is usually update from main early and often, then resolve small conflicts while the context is still fresh. Small conflicts are boring. That's good. Boring is cheaper than heroic.
I usually run tests right after each resolution. Otherwise, you fix one conflict and break something 3 files over.
Exactly. And when both changes are valid, you often have to combine them rather than choose one. That's where discipline matters. Preserve the behavior, not the ego. I know. Revolutionary idea.
Code review helps too. Another set of eyes catches the looks fine to me merges.
Definitely. And if the conflict is in a critical path, sometimes the right move is to refactor first, make the change simpler, then merge. Clean structure reduces future conflicts. People hate that answer because it requires patience. Automatic merge resolution is great when the changes are obvious, like non-overlapping edits or trivial file additions. Let the tool do the boring stuff.
But it gets risky fast when both sides change logic.
Exactly. Auto-merge is a convenience, not a judgment call. It can tell you whether a conditional should be merged by precedence, or whether one side silently changed a boundary case. That's where manual resolution earns its keep.
Manual takes longer though.
It does. And that's why you reserve it for anything sensitive. Core business rules, security checks, database migrations, anything with side effects. I'd rather spend 10 minutes reading conflict markers than 2 hours explaining a production issue.
Fair enough, we're in near on time. I've seen people trust the tool too much because the merge completed successfully.
That phrase is dangerously optimistic. Successful merge is not the same as correct merge. Automatic resolution is for speed. Manual is for correctness. The real skill is knowing which one you're looking at before you start clicking through the conflict editor like it's some kind of slot machine. When you do have to resolve it manually, the conflict markers are your starting point, not your enemy. I always inspect the exact hunks first, then check the surrounding context in the diff.
So no, not just stare at the URL and guess.
Please don't guess. Git gives you tools for a reason. Git diff, Git status, Git log, merge. Even Git blame if you need to understand why a line exists at all. If the conflict is weird, look at both branches directly.
I've used Git show a lot for that. Helps when the history is messy.
Good. And side-by-side merge tools are worth it too. Visualizing both versions beats reading raw markers when the file is large, or the changes are subtle. You can spot whether the conflict is real, or just an overlap from formatting.
Sometimes the markers make it obvious that one side is just stale.
Exactly. And when it's still unclear, trace the change back through the commit history. The code usually tells you why it's fighting. The best merge conflict is the one you never create.
That's ideal, yeah?
Keep branches short-lived. Pull from main regularly. Break large changes into smaller PRS, so you're not stacking 5 unrelated edits in one branch like some kind of code Jenga. Also avoid editing the same hot files unless you have to.
Shared config and API files are the worst for that.
They are. Another good habit is agreeing on ownership for high churn areas and using consistent formatting so tools don't invent noise. If the formatter changes every line, the merge becomes a fake emergency.
Feature flags help too. You can land pieces incrementally, instead of holding everything until the end.
Yes, that's a strong one. And communicate. If you know you're about to rename a module or restructure a component, say so before someone else builds on the old shape. That's just basic courtesy, which apparently is rare in version control.
Or at least rare enough to be useful when it happens.
Exactly. Small, frequent integration saves everyone from one giant conflict dump at the worst possible moment. Large refactors are where conflict resolution turns from routine into strategy. If you rename, split, or move a lot of code, you want to isolate the refactor from behavior changes as much as possible.
So one branch for structure, another for logic.
Ideally, yes. Make the mechanical change first, get it merged, then layer on functional changes. That way other branches can rebase onto the new structure instead of fighting 1,000 rename conflicts. It's slower up front, but it saves everyone from playing archaeology in the diff.
What if other people are already working in that area?
Then you coordinate early. Warn them, maybe freeze that part briefly if it's risky, or use adapter code so both old and new paths can coexist. The goal is to reduce simultaneous edits to the same surfaces.
Sounds like you're optimizing for less surprise.
Exactly. With big refactors, surprise is expensive. Also, commit in slices that compile and test. If the branch can't be validated at each step, every conflict becomes harder to reason about, and suddenly the rename isn't the hard part anymore. Understanding intent is.